Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Caffeine and Conversation. Hey, Fee,
Hey Kay,
how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm here surviving, child. What else can I say? Just waiting for some of our listeners to join us on Wisdom, Podbean, and what else? Apple.
YouTube.
Well, YouTube, we're going to post our video, unless you're doing
Mhm.
live over there. But of
Mhm.
course, we're waiting for some of our dedicated listeners. I know we've been off for the last couple of weeks. We normally drop our episode on a Sunday, but we do
Mhm.
try to make it up on a Monday. So we're trying to give all of our followers and fans an opportunity to come in and join us on this live.
And I do want to say, since we missed Sunday, happy belated Father's Day to all of the fathers who are out there every day making it happen. Happy Father's Day to you.
Yes.
We see you and we salute you, kings.
Oh Lord. Okay. I
Yeah, we
guess.
salute them. For the ones who making it do what it do, I salute you. To the ones who come home every day, I salute you. For those who keep the lights on and food in the refrigerator, I salute you. For those who show up for their kids, not just financially, but show up with your presence, I salute you. Hats off to you.
Yeah. What she said.
Hmm.
So
I
how was your
salute.
weekend?
My weekend was phenomenal. I had a chance to not only celebrate Father's Day with my husband, who make it do what it do, who's been an awesome dad to my daughter, and my biological kids. We had a chance to do what we call a Cobb's Country Cut Up. That was
Oh
the name of
Lord.
their reunion,
Did
Cobb's
y'all have
Country Cut Up.
t-shirts?
They did, and it's a Cobb's Country Cut Up, and they cut
I
up
can't.
country style in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So it was an awesome time, not only hanging out with my husband for Father's Day weekend, but also to hang out with my extended family, which is his family. So it was awesome.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, this
How
is
was
the
your
last.
weekend?
Well, I'm gonna tell you whether you asked me or not, but this is the last week for me in this 7 week term. So I had
Hmm.
a lot of schoolwork that I had to get through, and I thought working ahead, I was gonna give myself like a couple weeks off. I'm not even gonna have a couple weeks off, just a couple days, because our next session start on Monday. So it'll be another 7 weeks, 2 classes. But now I am like actively looking for work. I probably put in 20 applications yesterday and this
Good.
morning.
Hmm.
But of course, I think one of the ones I submitted yesterday, someone actually called me today, which is, this is for a freestanding ER, which is what I told you that I was looking, but not really, because I know those jobs, they're going to call you like the minute the application go in. And I'm really trying to, I like my skilled portion of my work, but trying to go more into leadership and education. But I also still want to have my hands in that pot, because I do still love that hands-on and the fast pace of a emergency room environment. But
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome in the room. Hello, 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 everyone. Again, this is Caffeine and Conversation, where we recap the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and then we try and see how we can fit that into everyday life and things that we may have experienced along those lines, and give our own 2 cents, because I believe we all have information we can share that someone else, or a different perspective that someone may not have seen and or experienced, and can apply it to their own life.
Yeah.
So what is it you wanted to highlight? Because I know briefly we spoke off camera and you mentioned my girl Mel, and
Hmm.
let me hear what you have to say, because I know you're gonna bash my girl.
Well, actually, I'm not going to bash her. I'm actually in agreement with her. I was actually pulling up my notes after I watched the episode, and I was actually in agreement with Mel this time. One of the things that two things I agree with. And again, and I want our Capenators to understand that I was a ride or die male fan. I mean, ride or die male fan when the show first began, because I was I just liked her personality. I liked her style. I liked her character. I liked everything about Mel. I was one of those millimeters, so I want to say
I
that's
think our
me.
caffeinators hear you
Yeah.
say that,
So when
then
you
you
hear
go
me
right on
bashing her,
in
I
and
don't.
bash my
Yeah,
girl.
yeah, because I don't roll with pettiness, nor do I roll with foolishness, and I don't excuse it. And so that's why you don't hear me. And I don't really say that I'm bashing her. I just give my viewpoint on some of the pettiness and the BS that she pull off. But this week, I was ride or die with Mel this week, and the reason why I saw that genuine Mel that I fell in love with season one. I saw the realness, the rawness, the openness with her. Two things that she did. She had a conversation at the pole. You know, they was doing a pole dance, me and her, Miss Nell, and they were doing the pole dance. And she was saying, and they were hitting around. I think Kimmy hitting around. She really didn't say nothing to Kimmy, but she was a little bit more open with Miss Nell. And they both evidently saw the post on Instagram where they can tell clearly it was a man arm around her. She didn't give anything to Kimmy. She was like, that ain't who I choose to discuss my business with. She said, but I'll give Miss Nella Bina too, because she have shown me that she'll ride with me. And so I don't mind. And so one of the things in the conversation, she said, she said, in this relationship, this new relationship, because Miss Nell asked her, hey, do you feel like this guy, how is it working out? Is it working good? She said, most definitely is. And one of the reasons being everything that I put down that I wanted, which was a protector, a provider, and a professor. Those were the three things she named. Those three things I love because that's what I've always wanted in a man. So I can agree with her on that. And she said, I didn't realize that I wasn't protected until someone come in my life who protects me. And a lot of time when women think about protection, they think about somebody who's physically able to protect you, but they don't think about somebody who will protect your heart, who will see the ugly pieces of you and still protect you without dragging you through the mud. And so when she said that, first of all, I could resonate with her. And then I can see the realness in her heart, like I saw in season one. So that was the first thing about Mel. And then I loved her conversation with Tisha. She was like, look, girl, she was just straight to the point, no nonsense, but still respectful, which is something she's been trying to get the group to do, respect each other boundaries. And Tisha was with all the BS, as always. Tisha is always with the BS. I can just cluck her in the head. But she said to her, hey, it was just some months ago none of us was in a good place. And now you want me to go from 0 to 10. That's not how I'm moving at this stage in my life. It's baby steps for me. And then here it was, you just bashing me. She didn't use those exact words, but they showed clips of Tisha calling her the devil and telling her she had a dark soul. But now you want me to show up, and give
For
10%.
free.
She said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. This is where I am. I'm trying to take baby steps. And Tisha said, well, we can't. And it's like it still wasn't registering in Tisha's dumb head. Like this girl said, baby steps. Are you still going to show up? And Mel kept eating. She said, are you going to answer me? Mel was like, no. Like, what part did you not understand? Well, can you show up for this? I don't want to see you on Instagram and you out on a date. If I am out on a date, I can do that because I'm grown. See, something wrong with Tisha. Something ain't, the elevator ain't reaching to the top floor. But anyway, that whole conversation, when she was saying it's baby steps for me, but I'm trying, I'm growing. And she said, and I may show up. I can't guarantee, but I may. I do have an event, and no, it ain't with the date, which I don't even think Tisha deserved that. If I tell you I can make it, I can make it. If I can't, I can't. Because you the same one that said I had a dark
Completely
soul.
agree.
Yeah, and Tisha would just, because it's like Tisha kept pressing and she kept trying to explain it's baby steps with me.
Yeah.
I don't care to be in the room with Martell, which is understandably because he's taking her through, like she said, actively, we're going through a custody battle, which explains all the hostility from 1 minute we on the boat selling, and then the next minute we back at ours again. But somebody trying to take your babies from you, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I
I'm
get
I'm
it.
glad you finally get it because Lord knows I've been telling you this for weeks. There is something deeper that's happening that we're not privy to. And I don't understand how someone can give so much to a marriage and he's the one that has put her through so many and everyone thinks that she should just bounce back. So my notes that I made in regards to her having that conversation with Nail is that I've always seen this, even with all the things that have happened over the last couple of years, seeing that her and Martel have separated and now divorced. I always still saw that from her that she was being she was being right. It may not be what you wanted to see from her, but I felt she was being vulnerable. But it's hard to even be vulnerable with people that have actively hurt you, not just Mel, Tisha, Marceau, Kimmy, Maurice. These people knew what her husband was doing. They say for the camera they were holding him accountable. We don't know, but I think you said that it was widely known in Huntsville that they had an apartment where they were all going and smashing. So how accountable were you doing? You know,
Allegedly.
Martell is coming on TV saying how he begged and begged and begged his wife. But why did you have to beg when you were doing things that not a lot of women would get down with? I don't understand that. Why should she be the one to forgive? These are your actions. She's just going by what you have done. I like I said, I just think there needed to have been a little bit more grace given to Mel, and just to know that women just jumped ship and just left her, and I can just imagine that. And only wasn't it last week I was saying to you, I can just imagine at nights when it's quiet and her babies have gone to sleep, she never thought she'd be sitting in that bed, probably a king size bed, by herself, and her husband wouldn't be there. Those have to be like the loneliest points she must be having with herself. And then to know that she doesn't even have friends that she can trust and share those things with, especially this combat group. They ain't coming back. They need to go on and lay that to rest.
So it needs to be delayed to rest group. Yeah,
It
I
does.
always sympathize with Mel. I don't say I jump ship. I don't make excuses for certain actions. And even though in the
But she's
midst of
human,
divorce,
though. We
yeah,
don't
absolutely
always
she
do
is.
things
And
that are
I don't
right.
think I don't think nobody bashed her for being human. I don't think anybody bashed her for not for hurting. I think that's the pieces of mail that everybody related to and made them stay on ship with her. It wasn't until all of the pettiness, the little things that she was trying to do, the pettiness, the turning on your friends, the belittling people, the
It's
hurting the
betrayal.
kids,
I don't think she
hurting
turned on her
hurting the
friends.
kids.
I think
Like
it's the betrayal.
yeah, it was certain things with Destiny that just was not right. You know, Destiny is who she is, but you don't go up there into my I paid your light bill. It was just certain things she did with Destiny that I think a real friend wouldn't have done. It's certain things that she have displayed in friendships that had nothing to do with her divorce. And then with the kids, you know, I know you're hurting, but sometimes even in the midst of pain, we have to sacrifice for our babies. And the whole birthday party thing and that little girl calling out wanting her daddy to be there, even if she didn't want him to be, and even though she need him to respect boundaries, and she's been forcing him to respect those boundaries, that one day, you know, hey, this is my baby. It ain't even about me. Because sometimes as parents, we have to
Well, I
say,
can just speak from my
it's
own
not about
experience.
us, it's about the kids. And that's all I'm saying. And so those are the things where people jump ship, because regardless of your pain, we still can't go along with the
That comes
BS.
at a
Just like
level
we
of
don't take
maturity I
BS from
don't
the
think
rest
they're
of the
at.
cast, we're not gonna take it from her if we think she's the star of the show. You know, it applies to everybody.
That comes with a level of maturity, right? Because in order for that to happen, they both have to have a level of maturity. Seeing how Martell behaves, you give him an inch, he's gonna take a mile. So that's why she probably couldn't even allow him to come to her party that she was throwing for their daughter. You know, he think that okay, all her defenses are down. Let me just go run amok. So I just think it's gonna
I don't
take
think
time.
so.
I hope eventually they get there because their children are watching how to have a functional. But Saturday just revealed so much, at least to me, and it just let me know my own deduction of what she may be experiencing, because you don't have they don't have to put everything on TV to know that she's going through something, which is why she's responding the way she is, because we're not seeing things as they're happening. They're cutting and chopping and putting pieces together. So I'm looking forward for the reunion show. I'm sure that's going to be a treat.
Yeah, I
Are you
am
going to
too.
be
I'm
in
forward.
town? Yeah, because you know she's leaving at the end of the month. You going to be in town when the reunion come on?
Probably not, but I still have my phone where I stream it on Direct TV Stream. Thank you, Direct, for having a streaming app. because I will be
No,
still
I'm
watching.
talking, isn't that gonna be like when you're overseas though?
Yeah, I still can watch it on my direct stream app.
You won't be able to.
Why?
No, not unless you have VPN because it'll be considered outside of the US.
Oh,
You would
well,
need you would need VPN and then connect through USA. But anyway, we'll figure that out because I do have VPN that you can use. You need to download
okay.
it.
Okay. And so, but yeah, that's the only thing. It's certain little things she did, being petty, being immature, and it do comes with a level of maturity. And I expect, because I had such high expectations of Mel, not that she's not human. I expect her to be a little bit more mature, and I expect any mother to sacrifice for their baby. And you'll have a woman there who called you, talked about your baby, drug her through the mud,
Again,
said
that
you
comes
got
with a
a
level
dark
of
soul
maturity. I
at
mean,
her
you
birthday
again,
party. But Mel is very mature. Mel is very mature. And so you would have her.
how do we know she's very mature? Because she hasn't been able to get there with Martell. But here's the thing. He's been so show. I mean, we I can say this now at 50 something. And so can you. But I wasn't putting up with nothing. I push people away in my 20s a lot, especially the first moment you make me feel some kind of way. I'm out the door. And even a long time ago, y'all cafinators, I was married. And my husband never thought as me as his family. Like if something needed to be done for his family back home, and he would tell me, and I would say, well, we really can't do that right now. We need to do A, B, and C first. And he would tell me, well, that's my family. And I was like, well, I'm your family too. And he said, no, not really, but that's my family. So, and I think those are the things that people don't talk about before you get into relationships. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about things that I think we need to start seeing in high school curriculum so we can start setting up our younger generation to face the world. Like
Yeah.
nobody tells you what a relationship should look like. All you know is that you want one. Why do you want one when you don't even understand your own self and what you need as a person, as an individual? You don't even know what makes you happy. But you see all the other people in high school hooking up, hell, even junior high, having a boyfriend, that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend, and think that's the end goal. And it's I got a lot to say about this, and
And that's where parenting comes in it too. And like I said, I'm all for setting boundaries. I agree with her
but
setting
you're talking
boundaries.
about
All I'm
parenting, but
saying, you didn't let me
there's
finish. You didn't let me finish my
but hold
sentence.
on a second, because you're saying, well, how is that parenting when some parents don't even know? You come from a broken home. People only operate from their own level of awakening. And because you've always seen it in your family, you think that's the right thing to do until the world has to teach you that no, it's not. So what if, we can get them prepared. I don't know. You said that, and that just hit with me because it's sometimes parents only operate from where they're at. And we know we have 13, 14-year-old. What can a 13, 14-year-old teach their kids who's
Yeah.
having kids at 13, 14, 15? And Big Mama, like what movie was that? Big Mama 35. She ain't staying home raising no kids.
This is a different generation, from much different from how we grew up, where you have parents that are very informed, very involved, who can teach their children. Like when I was in my 30s, I probably couldn't teach my kids jack squat, but I sure have a arsenal of knowledge to teach my grandchildren. So I feel like my daughter-in-laws and my sons do as well, because it's a different generation where they're more knowledgeable, they're more informed, they're more outspoken. It's like I said, it's just a different generation than when you and I
I
grew up,
disagree.
where our parents wouldn't talk to us, and you don't ask no questions, and you couldn't be involved in grown folks conversation. I know even with me growing up, when grown people talk, we had to go to the back. We couldn't even stay in the room when
Crazy.
grown folks was having a conversation. My kids are very much involved in conversations. I've had numerous conversations with my daughter about relationships, about finances, things that my mom didn't talk to me about. I see my daughter-in-laws and how they operate with my grandchildren, and just the knowledge that my grandchildren have at 7 and 8 years old. So it's different times. Can it be part of the high school curriculum? Absolutely. I have no problem. I think finances, relationship, all of that stuff should be part. But I also think we can't take their responsibility from parents. And I
I'm
see
not saying,
you
but
can
there need.
respectfully disagree, but I
I
think
don't think.
parents
I don't.
also
No,
have a role.
parenting is parenting regardless. But you still, even as a parent, you can only teach your kids so much.
There's
But
only so
instead
much a
of,
school
but
can teach you.
correct. But that's what I'm saying. Instead of teaching them things that after high school it doesn't, like, prime example, and I was saying this to you the other day, something as simple as the healthcare system. I believe it needs to start from high school. So people aren't going out there and going to the hospital when they don't need to, when they need to be with a primary care. Some people really don't know how it all works. And then one of my project that I'm working on for school is how to eliminate the wait lists or minimize the wait list for low acuity patients. Because I can't tell you, especially during COVID, and it still happens now, people come in and then they're telling you their ailments and all they get is a Tylenol. But you've just sat in the lobby for 18 hours for a Tylenol that you could have done at home. Why did you come to the ED? You could have gone to a clinic. You could have gone to a primary doctor. They don't know.
Do you
Some
think that needs to be taught in high school?
so why is a 20 something in the hospital for Tylenol?
So
There's a
this is my
system that they're not aware of and when to go where at what time. Because you know why too? A
absolutely,
lot
I
of them,
agree. As a
a
nurse,
lot
I
of them,
absolutely
a lot of
agree.
them. That's what their parents did, and then they end up with these bills, and then when they finally get to that maturity level, 30s, 40s, and then they want to do things, and then this is on their credit report. They don't know why, but nobody ever told them. I'm talking about basic things that it's shocking to me that people don't know
Mhm.
that oh, I didn't know, I just, I thought it's a hospital and that's where I was supposed to be. And I'm not just talking about the healthcare system in particular. I'm just saying there's some things I believe, even basic relationships, like, do you know the number one group that gets abused are teenagers? Because young men don't know how to control or manage their emotions, so they hit their girlfriends in high school. That's crazy to me. And then you're talking about being in a household with a single parent, that's what they see, so they emulate that, or they're angry at their mother, so they see it in their girlfriends. So there's just some things I think we could help younger even as something as simple as washing clothes. My cousin told me the other day she didn't even know how to do laundry until she was a freshman in high school, and a boyfriend showed her. When she left home, she didn't know. In fact, there's this one school in New Jersey where they do this in high school. They have the kids bring their clothes in so they can show them how to do laundry, because a lot of them come from poor communities where they don't even have a washer and dryer at home. That's all I'm saying. Let's start helping people at an
I'm not
earlier stage.
I'm not in disagreement with that, but we can't put everything on the school system. You
but
said put
but we're not saying
relationship.
everything.
Let
We're
me
not
finish
saying
my system.
everything.
Let me finish my
Yeah,
sentence.
but you're saying everything. I didn't say that. I want you to get it
But you
right.
but you naming a lot though, okay? You naming a lot. You said relationships, you said washing, you said finances, you said marital classes, healthcare system. You named a lot of things, but you have to realize a high school has their curriculum as well. They got to know their sciences, they have to know their math, their English, their reading. So if you start adding all of these things, then what about the curriculum, that things that students are supposed to learn in high school? Do I think there should be life skill classes? Yeah, with certain things in it. Because I used to be amazed that students didn't know how to, write a check. I'm sure the fire department probably saying, they need to teach them in school about stop, drop, and roll or whatever. I'm sure the police department probably saying, just like you as a nurse saying, hey, they should teach them about healthcare in school. Police department say, hey, they probably should teach them about crime. The fire department say, hey, let's teach them about fire safety. I'm sure just about every profession probably think this is something they should learn in school. And if they learn everything that every other profession wants them to learn, they will never learn what they supposed to be going to school for. Should there be a life
Which is what
lessons or life skills?
supposed to, because there's a lot of classes that if you talk to high school students, they made it to the other side, they could have done without. I am talking about
Yes.
real things
We all
that
can
they
agree to
that
that.
that affects their life. A lot of students. Not
That's why I
I
said I
mean, not
think they should
everybody's
have.
gonna not everybody's gonna leave high school and become a mathematician, okay? They're just not. It's not gonna happen.
I'm in agreement
But
with
but
that.
but why do you have them?
Okay, all I'm saying, if you let me
Freshman
finish
year, you're
talking,
taking algebra. Second year, you're taking trigonometry. How many kids are going to leave high school needing trigonometry?
you not let me finish. Every time I
But
say
you don't
something,
let
you
me
cut.
finish, and you say something, and you don't
No,
expect
I
me to
sit here
respond
and
to it.
respectfully listen till you finish. And then when you stop talking is when I start talking, but then you cut me off when I make a sentence. All I'm saying is I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think there should be a lot of things I think there's a lot of things not needed, like you said, and a lot of things that they can do without. But I'm saying that's not the case. And we know as parents that's not the case. And so, yeah, while the school may have a role to play, I also, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is I think there's some things that parents have a role to play too. We can't put everything on the school system to teach our
I
kids
agree.
about health, about finances, about relationship, and all of these life lessons, because most life lessons are either learned from your parents or just living life itself when you live life. Like nobody taught me how to write a checkbook, but I remember opening my first account and the lady in the bank showed me how to write a check. I didn't learn about the healthcare system until I actually got into nursing school. So some stuff life is just going to teach you. We can't put everything on the school system. That's all I'm saying. Should they have life skill lessons where they maybe learn about health and because we used to have a home economics. You talked about washing. We used to have a home economics where we learned how to sew and cook in school. And I know that was something they took away. I thought those were good, life lessons. All I'm saying is parents have accountability, and so do students. As you get older, you on Google looking up everything else. Just be, it's about self accountability. But parents should play a role, and not all parents are single. Not all parents come from broken homes. There are two family households who have a lot to teach their kids and can and should. But I'm not going to leave it up to the school system to teach my daughter about finances, about healthcare, about everything. Me as a mom, whether I'm single or married, I feel like I have an obligation to do that for my daughter to
And
see
I
her succeed in
believe,
life.
and I don't think we're saying separate things here. And if you're having children, it is your job. But just like it's not the school responsibility to teach them everything, a parent can't teach their child everything either. However, I do believe there's some things that there needs to be a redesign in how the children are being taught and start giving them things that they can actually apply to everyday life. That's all I'm saying. Stop packing up their day with things that they can't use. And we all know they still get out here and they still can't conjugate a verb and know where a period and a colon and a semicolon is supposed to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so all I was saying with Tisha and Mel is that yeah, nobody's jumping shit with Mel. Everybody's just not with the excuses and the pettiness and calling your friends out on helping her. Because when you truly help somebody from the heart, they're struggling, can't pay their utilities. As a friend, that ain't something I'm gonna broadcast. Hey, I had
Yeah,
to
but
pay her
you
utility
said that,
bill.
but she did that.
Yeah. All I'm saying is you keep making a statement every week that everybody want to jump ship and oh poor Mill and everybody's abandoning her and everybody. No, that's not the
No.
case. I think
Mm-mm.
everybody understands her hurt and pain. Everybody tries to rock with her, but just like we hold the other cast members accountable, we also when she becomes petty and with the BS, we call her to the carpet. That's all I'm saying. But I also wanted to talk about something else that
You see,
resonated with
hold
me.
on, K Finators, did you see that? She wants to have the last say and dog Mel, and then I'm not supposed to say
I
nothing
didn't just
about that.
dog her. I
That
didn't
that
just dog
ain't
her.
that that's but what you said was below the belt. It
Well,
was. That
sometimes
was
she
a
can be
jab at
petty.
her. That was a jab. That was a jab. And that
No,
ain't
it
cool.
was a fact. Sometimes she can be petty. It may
But
stem
they
from
all
her
can be
hurt.
petty.
Exactly. And when they all be petty, we call them to the carpet. So she
No.
should be any different because she's going through a divorce and she has the right to be petty and to not be a good friend. And nobody call her out on her BS because, oh, woe is Mel is going through. So we call Marcel out. We call Maurice out. We call Martell out. We call Stormi out. Call
I
Tisha.
see what
But
you're
hey,
doing. All right, I'm gonna
don't
let you have it with you and your petty
don't
friends
say
on
nothing about
social
Mel.
media.
That's how you roll, okay? Don't say nothing about Mel, but we
That's
can
how
call
you do.
Marcel.
All right, we gonna take it. Me and my melanators. Come
Oh
on.
Lord. Go ahead and defend her, then we're gonna go to the next topic.
No, that's fine. I already said what I gotta say.
So another thing that really resonated with me last night, Stormi and her mom conversation with her cousin and her aunt. And something that Stormy said, she said, this is so much deeper than me and my cousin. And she started talking about, she remembered how when her grandfather got sick and her mom, they was talking about who was going to divvy up the responsibility of taking care of the granddad. And her mom ended up having to take on the buck role. And she just started seeing her mom and her aunt's relationship deteriorate. And to see how that, first of all, Stormy mama is out of order. She's just, she's just out of order. She gets into Stormy's business. She out on internet being inappropriate, saying things that shouldn't be said, defending a grown woman she shouldn't defend. And then the way she lashed out at her sister, it was just, to me, it's just unacceptable behavior for a grown woman. But one of the things Stormy said, sometimes we have these issues that go on in our family and we see the surface, but we don't know the root cause of it. And so that was something that was interesting to me last night when I was watching that dynamic with Stormy's mom and her sister. And her sister said the same thing that everybody on the internet has been saying for months. She speaks when she shouldn't be speaking. She's like, she sit there and said, yeah, my daughter paid $15,000. What did that have to do with a hill of beans? That she paid $15,000. What did that have to do with that conversation? That was out of order. And that was nobody's business that that woman's son went to jail. But then when she mentioned, hey, so did Stormy, she went to jail, but you don't see me out here broadcasting it about your daughter, then it became a problem. See, I don't like that. What did you think about that whole dynamic?
The only note that I made from that scene says Stormy's mama is trash. That's all. That's my note. Stormy mama is trash. Plain and simple. Because that's all I had for her. I'm sorry. Because how do you expect your, first of all, I'm not in all the chat rooms. I watch the show for what it is, and that's it. And I come up with my own perspective and opinion. But I don't know how you expect your nephew to respect you after that. Yeah. If your goal is to have a family of extended family and people that you could depend on. Now, your daughter fired him from his role at her company, and you're saying you left my daughter. Are you crazy? Mm-hmm. So I just, and I don't understand what this whole premise around this show has become, that you're supposed to give this, people are hurting you and you're just supposed to keep on going, keep stepping on my stove because I have no feelings. I mean, my mind is just blown. But she may have fired him as an employee, but it's still, as you can see, they have so much love and respect for each other as cousins. So I don't even know why she's involved. And then based on what you're saying, Stormy's mama's supposed to say whatever she wants. And at Lisa, being the youngest sibling, supposed to just suck it up. That's not how this works. We both grown. Yeah.
And why does she feel like she have to keep fighting battles for her grown daughter?
I have no idea.
Conversation even coming up, that was Stormy's business, her cousin. They had a conversation about it, and they seem to have both moved on. So while her mom had to call the sister, your son don't work, it's just the craziness.
Because she could dig at her sister. So like Stormy pointed out, clearly there's something
deeper
than that even that the both of them could get to that level of anger, knowing that the cameras are rolling, was just like mind-blowing. How old are these women? They have to be in their 50s.
Well into their 60s. No, probably in their 60s. Early 60s.
Goodness, for sure.
Probably, yeah. Something else. What did you think about Marcel telling Tisha?
He was going to stay at comment home. On that. Here we go. First, for Marcel and Stormy's husband, they could have kept that scene. They wasted the film. Something disingenuous about those two having their conversation. It came about as fake and phony to me, them two. So that's all I got for them two. Them two Scots. There's something off about this. And her looks that she give him, probably because the internet probably tearing her up, when he said him and his son gonna stay one place and she and the girls can.
And I actually believe that's what he really wants.
There's no way he wouldn't, unless all those other scenes from years gone by where he's a family man and it's about my family, unless that was false and pretense. I don't know. I don't get genuine from Tisha for sure and from Marceau. They don't come across as genuine happy for other people. It's something that's just my
He can't be a
feeling I
family
get.
man because he didn't even know his son had a peanut butter allergy. He was gonna take his own son out. And so I think when he said that, he was like, I'm a provider. So all of these hours I'm not at home and coming home at
Yeah,
2 or 3
being a
o'clock in the morning,
provider
I'm out
doesn't
working.
mean. And you know, we were having this conversation earlier when I was out working out. I was saying they really need to change the narrative in what they tell man and woman that they're supposed to show up in relationships to be. We're dealing with, this is 20, we're in the 21st century, dealing with before time started concept. And unless you can have these concepts, but people show up in relationship understanding that, what are we going to create that we're both happy in this union? And we talked about this earlier, at least from my perspective and this journey that I've been on with myself. People need to understand that yes, we've come together, but don't forget that I'm also an individual and I still have these goals that I want for myself. So how can we be happy together, but how can I be happy by myself? And when I say by myself, doesn't mean I want to go off and do things on my own, but the goals that I have for myself, because if my eyes should close tomorrow, I want to know that I did everything that I wanted to make myself happy. And you have to show, I have to be happy within myself. So when I am with you, we can be happy together. And people just seem, I don't know, at least for me, on the outside looking in, people seem to miss that concept when it comes to talking about relationships and being in a relationship.
Yeah. Because you're an individual too. Absolutely. You're a couple, but you're also an individual. It's funny you
With
should bring that up.
your own thoughts, your own goals, your own ambition, your own desires. And you want to know that your partner, okay, what is it going to take for you to be happy? You know, and then they think they need to make you happy. And that is a bucket you can never fill. It'll never be fulfilled. You can't make somebody happy.
Yeah, it was funny that you brought that up. I was watching something last night with Keon Henderson and Shawnee and Torrey and Sarah Jakes and Torrey Roberts. And one of the things Torrey was saying that was an issue in the beginning of their marriage, that as because he shows up as a pastor, he shows up as a husband, he shows up as a dad, he shows up as a son. And he said, I have these days, where I have to go away a few days a month. He said it may not be to another city, and then it may just be me going up the street to a hotel just to get my thoughts together and collect. And he said, and then when I come back home a few days later or a day later, however long that he take, I show up as a better person. And he said that was a big, thing for Sarah because she wasn't used to that. They always used to have to, like, why you got to leave for a couple of days without me? And it was a big issue. And she did not understand that he needed his individual alone time, and just a few hours in the house wasn't enough. I really needed time to go off and meditate and just get myself. And he said then she started realizing that when I would leave and come back, I showed up as a better husband, I showed up as a better father, I showed up because I had that time to reset and to refocus. And he said, it may be every month, maybe every 3 months, whenever he feel the need, he would do that. And so he said now she started doing the same thing and they show up better for each other. So it's funny that you brought that up as well because
I've always operated. This is nothing new to that part is not
mhm.
anything new to where I am currently in my life, but I always believe it. That there can be a thing as too much. And for me, it shows a sign of weakness if you, or something is wrong with you if you don't believe that you need your own time and you need to be under someone or around someone 24/7. To me, it shows
Right.
that you don't trust yourself and you don't trust the other person. Because
Absolutely.
I think it's so important to just even reflect, take some time, wake up when you want to wake up, and just think about your day, think about where you're going. And like he was able to say to her is, I show up as a better me, and if I show up as a better me, I can be a better me for you. And sometimes it takes people a long time to get there, but
She admitted it took her a
it's
long time to
important.
get there.
It is
And so
important.
and so, and so with Marceau, when the show began, he was out 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, always saying he's working, not because he was a family man, because his thing was, I'm a provider, I'm a good provider. The word in the streets was he was out with another woman.
Well,
And
we all
so
know he was.
everybody's thinking this time when he said, hey, you stay here and I stay there, they thinking he's up to the same shenanigans. And I think in her heart of hearts, even though she keep trying to make her husband to be something, I think that he's not. She's like, oh no, we're not doing
It
that. We're not
comes
even having that
through.
conversation. So I don't think it was like a made up conversation. I think it was a real conversation, something he wanted and something she can see that he wanted. But, because like you said, these internet streets and drug her through the mud. So she wasn't going to let that fly.
It comes through. One thing, if people, and I'm very big on this. I never look at what people are spoon feeding me. I
Mm-hmm.
always pan the camera out and get a wide perspective. I sit back and I look at the things that they're not saying to me. And that's how, and I when it comes to Tisha and Marceau, and still with Martell, there is something else that they're not saying, and they don't come across as genuine people to me. They may be, maybe they're still maybe so aware of the camera that they can't let their guard down. Or maybe it is the things that the street are saying in Huntsville that Tisha is she's now on this season, like she putting down the law, because that scene Saturday, they could have kept that too.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. Well, that's all I
anyway,
have for today's topic.
K-Finators, that's
Yes.
another episode of K-Fin in Conversation. So what you got planned for this week while we say goodbye to our listeners?
I only have work, and more work planned this week. Um, in my coordinator role, getting some schedules and things together. But I do want to say to our K-Finators, please leave your thoughts, leave your comments, like, subscribe, share, tell somebody to tell somebody about K-Fin in Conversation. Also, give us your comments on what did you think about the conversation with Stormi's mom. Tell us what you thought about the conversation with Tisha and Marceau. Let us know your thoughts on Mel. Is she, being petty, which she wasn't this weekend, but is she petty? Or like Kay said, is she just a woman who's hurt and wounded and everybody's jumped ship? Well, we
And
love to hear
it's
your thoughts. Of course, we come with our opinions, but we would love to hear the thoughts from the K-Finators. So I pray y'all leave some comments below. And again, tell somebody to tell somebody about K-Fin in Conversation.
all right, y'all. We'll try and see you next Sunday. If not, you'll hear from us on Monday. And on that note, have a fantastic week. And you've been listening to K-Fin in Conversation. Bye, y'all.